Elise's hands plunged into the scalding dishwater, scrubbing the 100th plate of the evening while the mansion's kitchen staff laughed behind her. The head cook's voice cut through the noise. "You're fired. Pack your things." Just like that, 3 months of wages vanished, and Elise had nowhere to sleep but the streets. She didn't know that tomorrow morning she'd walk into a house that would change everything, or that the man who answered the door was drowning in his own chaos. The glass shattered against marble flooring, and Darren Cole barely flinched. Another ruined morning in a string of disasters that had become his life. Lena stood frozen in the kitchen doorway, her school uniform half-buttoned, watching orange juice spread across the designer tiles like accusation. "It's fine, sweetheart. Just go brush your teeth. We're already late." But they both knew nothing was fine. Nothing had been fine since Nora walked out 18 months ago, leaving behind only a note and the faint scent of her perfume that still haunted the master bedroom. Darren grabbed paper towels, his architectural firm's morning meeting already starting without him. His phone buzzed relentlessly on the counter. Investors, contractors, his assistant Maya sending increasingly frantic messages. The Cole and Associates empire was thriving while his home crumbled. "Daddy," Lena's small voice barely carried across the kitchen. "Why are we always sad?" The question hit harder than any business failure ever could. Darren looked up at his 7-year-old daughter, at the exhaustion in eyes too young to carry such weight, and had no answer. Traffic crawled through Lagos Heights as Darren navigated toward Greenfield Academy, acutely aware of Lena's silence in the back seat. Other parents chatted cheerfully with their children, planning playdates and weekend activities. Darren planned his next conference call. "Mr. Cole?" The teacher, Mrs. Adebayo, intercepted him at the school entrance, her expression carefully neutral. "We need to discuss Lena's situation. Her grades are excellent. It's not about academics." Mrs. Adebayo glanced at Lena, who'd already disappeared toward her classroom. "The other children have been unkind about her appearance, her clothes. One girl asked why Lena always looks messy compared to everyone else." Shame burned through Darren's chest. He'd designed award-winning skyscrapers but couldn't manage a proper ponytail. "I'll handle it." "Mr. Cole, perhaps you need help. There's no shame in—" "I said I'll handle it." He walked away before she could see his hands shaking. The office offered temporary escape. Darren buried himself in blueprints and budget projections, transforming raw land into architectural dreams. Here, everything made sense. Lines were straight, angles calculated, problems solved with logic and precision. "You look terrible." Maya appeared in his doorway, holding 2 coffee cups and wearing her trademark no-nonsense expression. She'd been his best friend since university, the only person who dared speak truth to his carefully constructed walls. "Thanks, Maya. Really feeling the support." "I'm serious, Darren." She closed the door, settling into the chair across from his desk. "When's the last time you ate a proper meal? When's the last time Lena had a proper meal that didn't come from a takeout box? We're managing. You're drowning." Maya leaned forward, her voice gentling. "And you're taking that beautiful little girl down with you. You can design skyscrapers for the entire city, but your own home is falling apart." Darren wanted to argue, but the words stuck in his throat. Because Maya was right. Every morning was chaos. Every evening was burnt dinners and forgotten homework, and Lena's increasingly withdrawn silence. "What do you suggest?" he asked finally, defeat heavy in his voice. "Hire help. A nanny, a housekeeper. Someone who can bring order to that house while you keep this empire running." Maya pulled out her phone, scrolling through contacts. "I know an agency. Good people, thoroughly vetted. Let me set up interviews. I don't need strangers in my home. No, you need someone to help you remember that home exists at all." Maya's expression softened. Darren, you're an incredible father, but you can't do everything alone, and you shouldn't have to. The interviews began on Saturday morning, transforming Darren's pristine living room into a parade of disasters. The first candidate spoke only to him, completely ignoring Lena's presence. The second couldn't cook anything beyond instant noodles. The third answered a personal call mid-interview and never came back. By the fourth interview, Darren was ready to abandon the entire endeavor. Then, Elise walked through the door. She wasn't what he expected. No polished resume presentation, no rehearsed speech about childcare philosophy. She simply looked around the room, taking in the stacked takeout boxes, the toys gathering dust, the general air of a home that had forgotten how to breathe. Then she turned to Lena, who sat curled in the corner with a coloring book, and smiled. "Those are beautiful flowers," Elise said, kneeling to Lena's level. Not hovering over her, not forcing conversation, just genuinely interested. "The purple ones especially. Are they lavender?" Lena's head lifted slightly, surprise flickering across her face. Adults didn't usually talk to her first. I don't know, just purple." "Well, they're lovely." Elise settled cross-legged on the floor, completely unconcerned with her interview clothes. "I used to draw flowers all the time when I was your age, mostly because I couldn't afford to buy real ones, but also because drawings never wilted." Something in Lena's expression shifted. "We don't have flowers here either." "No?" Elise glanced around with exaggerated concern. "That's a serious problem. Every home needs at least 3 flowers. It's a rule." "There's no such rule," Lena said, but a tiny smile tugged at her lips. Darren watched this exchange from the doorway, transfixed. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen Lena smile at a stranger. Couldn't remember the last time anyone had simply sat with her, meeting her where she was instead of where they thought she should be. "Miss," he started. "Elise. Just Elise." She stood gracefully, brushing off her skirt. "And you must be Mr. Cole. Maya told me about your situation. Did she also tell you I've already interviewed 8 people today?" "She mentioned you were particular." Elise's gaze was steady, unflinching. "I would be, too, if I were trusting someone with my daughter." There was something disarming about her directness. No false flattery, no desperation despite the worn edges of her clothes that suggested she needed this job badly. "Your resume says you were a teacher." "Primary school, until budget cuts eliminated my position 3 months ago." Elise's voice remained even, but Darren caught the flash of pain. "Since then, I've been taking whatever work I could find. Housekeeping, mostly. The last family let me go when they decided to move abroad." "And before teaching?" A pause, barely perceptible. "Foster care, multiple homes. I aged out of the system at 18, put myself through university with scholarships and 3 part-time jobs." She met his eyes directly. "I know what it's like to feel unwanted, Mr. Cole. I know what it looks like when a child is carrying weight they shouldn't have to carry." The words landed like stones in still water. Darren looked at Lena, still watching them with cautious interest, and made a decision that surprised even himself. "When can you start?" Elise blinked. "You mean tomorrow, 6 a.m. We'll discuss salary and terms tonight. But if you're willing, I need someone who can help bring order to this chaos." He gestured around the room. "And maybe teach us both how to draw flowers." Elise's smile transformed her entire face. "Tomorrow at 6, I'll bring seeds." If you're already hooked by this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started. And trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The transformation began so subtly that Darren almost missed it. He'd leave for work in darkness and return to find curtains opened. Sunlight streaming through windows he'd forgotten could be cleaned. The perpetual pile of dishes vanished. The takeout boxes disappeared. But more than physical changes, something shifted in the air itself. On the third morning, he woke to the scent of actual breakfast. Not burnt toast or forgotten cereal, but eggs and fresh bread, and something that smelled like hope. He found Lena at the kitchen table, laughing as Elise demonstrated how to flip pancakes. "Higher, Elise! Make it touch the ceiling!" "Oh no, we'll have pancakes in the light fixtures. Your father will think I've lost my mind." "He already thinks that," Lena giggled, and Darren's heart clenched at the sound. When had his daughter last laughed like that? When had their home last held joy instead of just survival? Elise noticed him in the doorway and straightened, suddenly professional. "Mr. Cole, your coffee's ready, and I've pressed your blue suit for the investor meeting." "How did you—" "Maya called yesterday with your schedule. Also, I took the liberty of organizing your home office. I hope that wasn't overstepping, but the files were in complete chaos." Darren should have felt invaded. Instead, he felt something dangerously close to relief. Weeks blurred into a new rhythm. Lena's teacher called with updates that left Darren speechless. Improved focus, better social interactions, genuine enthusiasm during class. The stained uniforms vanished, replaced with neatly pressed clothes and hair braided in intricate patterns he could never have managed. "How do you do it?" he asked one evening, finding Elise helping Lena with a science project at the dining table. The house smelled like dinner, actual home-cooked dinner, and soft music played from somewhere. "Do what?" "Make it look easy. The cooking, the cleaning, the everything. Lena listens to you. She's happy again." Elise set down the scissors she'd been using to cut construction paper. "She was always capable of happiness, Mr. Cole. She just needed someone to show her it was safe." "I failed her." The admission escaped before he could stop it. "Her mother left, and I couldn't figure out how to be enough." "You were enough. You kept her fed, housed, loved. You just needed help managing the details." Elise's expression held no judgment, only understanding. "Love isn't enough sometimes. We also need structure, routine, the small daily rituals that make a house feel like home." Lena looked up from her project. "Elise says we're planting a garden tomorrow, with real flowers. Can you help, Daddy?" Darren looked at his daughter's hopeful face, at the woman who'd brought light back into their darkness, and felt something crack open in his chest. I wouldn't miss it. Maya noticed the change immediately when she visited the following week. She stood in the doorway of Darren's now organized living room, taking in the fresh flowers on the mantel, the throw pillows that actually matched, the absence of chaos. "Okay, who are you, and what have you done with my disaster of a best friend?" "Maya." "No, seriously. You look happy. When's the last time I saw you actually happy?" She followed him into the kitchen where Elise was preparing dinner. "And you must be the miracle worker." "Just the help," Elise said lightly, but Darren caught the tension in her shoulders. "The help doesn't usually make a grown man smile like a teenager," Maya stage whispered, then laughed at Darren's expression. "Oh, this is delicious. You hired someone to organize your home and ended up organizing your heart." "Maya, please." "It's fine, Mr. Cole," Elise interrupted, though her voice had cooled. "Ms. Maya is just being kind. Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. After Maya left, still grinning knowingly, Darren found Elise in the garden with Lena, teaching her to water the new seedlings they'd planted. "I'm sorry about Maya. She doesn't have boundaries." "She cares about you. That's nice." Elise didn't look up from the flowers. "You're lucky to have people who care." "Elise, this one's growing fastest," Lena interrupted, pointing to a small green shoot. "Elise says it'll be purple when it blooms, like my drawings." Darren watched them together, the evening sun casting golden light across the garden, and realized Maya was right. Something had shifted inside him, something that went beyond gratitude or appreciation. He was falling for the woman who'd healed his daughter, who'd brought warmth back to their cold house. And that terrified him. The power outage happened on a Thursday evening, plunging the house into sudden darkness. Lena squealed, more excited than frightened, as Elise lit candles throughout the kitchen. "It's like a fancy restaurant," Lena declared. "Even better," Elise said, pulling out ingredients. "We can pretend we're pioneers, cooking by firelight." Darren found himself drawn into the game, helping prepare dinner in the flickering candlelight, while Lena narrated their pioneer adventure. The three of them sat at the table, and for the first time since Nora left, the silence felt comfortable instead of suffocating. "Tell us a story," Lena demanded, "about when you were little." Elise's smile faltered slightly. "My childhood wasn't very exciting." "Please." Lena's eyes went wide with pleading. "Daddy never tells stories about when he was little." "That's because all my stories involve making terrible decisions," Darren said, then caught Elise's conflicted expression. "You don't have to." "No, it's fine." Elise took a breath. "When I was about your age, Lena, I lived in my 4th foster home. The family had 3 other kids, and we all had to share one small bedroom. I used to sneak outside at night and sleep in the garden because it was quieter there." Lena's face crumpled. "Outside? That's sad. I thought so too at first, but then I started noticing things. The way stars looked different from under the trees, how flowers smelled stronger at night, the sound of wind through leaves. I learned that sometimes being alone isn't the same as being lonely." Darren's throat tightened. "You were just a child. I survived, and every experience taught me something." Elise looked at Lena. "Like how important it is to make other children feel seen and valued and safe. Because I remember what it felt like to be invisible." "You're not invisible now," Lena said seriously. "You're the brightest person I know." The candlelight caught tears in Elise's eyes. She reached across the table, squeezing Lena's hand. "Thank you, sweetheart. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me." Later, after Lena had gone to bed, Darren found Elise cleaning up in the kitchen. The power still hadn't returned, and the candlelight cast dancing shadows across the walls. "Thank you," he said, "for sharing that with Lena. I know it wasn't easy. She deserves honesty." Elise rinsed a plate slowly. "Children always know when adults are lying or hiding things. It makes them feel less safe, not more. You're good with her. Better than I ever was." "That's not true." "It is." Darren moved closer, drawn by something he couldn't name. "You gave her something I couldn't. Peace. Joy. The feeling that home is supposed to be warm instead of just functional." Elise set down the dish, finally meeting his eyes. In the flickering light, she looked younger, more vulnerable. "Home was never just about cleaning and cooking, Mr. Cole. It's about being present, being seen, knowing someone cares about the small things. I care." The words came out rougher than intended. "About the small things. About this. What's happening here?" The air between them shifted, charged with possibility. Elise's breath caught. "Mr. Cole, Darren, please, just Darren." "Darren." His name on her lips sent heat through his chest. "This isn't. We can't." "Why not?" "Because I work for you. Because Lena needs stability, not complications. Because," her voice broke slightly, "because I've spent my whole life being temporary, and I can't let myself hope for something permanent only to have it disappear." Darren reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hand. "What if it doesn't have to be temporary?" The moment stretched between them, fragile and terrifying. Then headlights swept across the windows, as the power surged back on, flooding the kitchen with harsh fluorescent light. The spell broke. Elise pulled her hand away. "I should finish cleaning. Good night, Mr. Cole." She was gone before he could respond, leaving him alone in the too-bright kitchen, wondering if he'd just ruined everything. This is where things get interesting, and I promise you, the twist coming will change everything you think you know about this story. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. The next morning, everything seemed normal on the surface. Elise prepared breakfast with her usual efficiency. Lena chattered about her upcoming school project, and Darren pretended his world hadn't tilted on its axis the night before. But Maya saw through him immediately when she stopped by the office. "You told her, didn't you?" "I don't know what." "Darren, I've known you for 15 years. You have. The same expression you had when you proposed to Nora. Terrified and hopeful and completely out of your depth." Maya sat on the edge of his desk. "What did Elise say?" "That it's complicated. That Lena needs stability. That she spent her life being temporary." He ran his hands through his hair. "And she's right. What am I doing, Maya? She works for me. I'm her employer. There's a power imbalance. There's also genuine connection. I saw how you two look at each other. How Lena lights up when Elise is around. How your house finally feels like a home instead of a museum of grief." Maya's expression gentled. "But Elise is also right to be cautious. She's protecting herself, and maybe Lena too. So what do I do? You give her time. You show her through actions, not just words, that she's not temporary, that she's essential, and you figure out if what you're feeling is gratitude or something deeper." Darren knew the answer already. It was deeper. Far deeper than he was ready to admit. 3 weeks passed in careful normalcy. Darren respected Elise's boundaries, keeping interactions professional even as his heart pulled toward her. He noticed small things, how she hummed while cooking Lena's favorite meals, the way she organized his office with intuitive precision, the soft smile she wore when reading Lena bedtime stories. Lena's transformation continued. Her teacher reported that she'd made friends, joined the art club, started speaking up in class. The withdrawn, sad child was becoming vibrant and confident. "You're doing something right," Darren told Elise one evening. "We're doing something right," she corrected. "You've been coming home earlier, spending real time with Lena. She talks about you constantly. Only because you reminded me what it means to actually be present." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the careful distance between them wavered. Then Elise looked away. "Lena asked if I'd come to her school art show next week. Is that... Would you mind?" "Mind? Elise, you're the reason she has art to show. Of course you should be there." The art show transformed the school gymnasium into a gallery of childhood imagination. Parents clustered around displays, praising their children's work with varying degrees of sincerity. Darren found Lena's section easily. Her purple flowers dominated the canvas, bold and unapologetic. "That's my girl," a voice said beside him. Darren turned and found himself face to face with a ghost. Nora stood beside him, perfectly dressed and perfectly composed, studying Lena's artwork as though she'd never left, as though 18 months of abandonment meant nothing. "What are you doing here?" His voice came out strangled. "She's my daughter, too." Nora smiled, though it didn't reach her eyes. "I wanted to see her work. She's talented." "You don't know anything about her. You left. I made mistakes. I'm trying to fix them." Nora finally looked at him, and Darren saw calculation beneath the manufactured warmth. "I've been thinking about us, Darren, about our family. Maybe we could talk." "Daddy!" Lena's voice cut through the tension. She ran toward them, then stopped short, seeing Nora. Confusion flooded her face. "Mommy." The word sounded foreign, uncertain. Nora moved forward, arms extended, but Lena instinctively stepped back toward Darren. "Hello, baby." You've grown so much." "Why are you here?" Lena asked, her voice small. "To see you, sweetheart. I've missed you." Before Lena could respond, Elise appeared, carrying Lena's backpack. She took in the scene. Darren's tense posture, Nora's presence, Lena's confusion, and her expression shuddered. "I'll wait in the car," she said quietly. "No." Lena reached for Elise's hand. "Don't go." Nora's eyes sharpened, taking in the gesture. "And who is this?" "This is Elise," Lena said, gripping tighter. "She lives with us. She's—" The child hesitated, searching for words. "She's important." Something dark flickered across Nora's face. How nice that Daddy hired help. Though I suppose that's always been easier for him than actually doing the work himself. "Nora." Darren's voice held warning. "What?" "I'm just observing. You could never handle domesticity. Always needed someone else to manage the details." She smiled sweetly at Elise. "No offense. I'm sure you're very good at your job." Elise's expression remained neutral, but Darren saw the hurt flash in her eyes. "None taken." "Excuse me." She left quickly, and Lena tried to follow, but Nora caught her arm. "Wait, baby. I want to talk to you. Catch up. Maybe we could get ice cream." Lena looked between her parents, trapped and overwhelmed. Finally, she nodded, though her eyes kept drifting toward the exit where Elise had disappeared. The ice cream shop was torture. Nora performed motherhood like a rehearsed role, asking questions she should already know the answers to, making promises that rang hollow. Lena responded in monosyllables. Her earlier confidence evaporated. "I've been thinking," Nora said carefully, "about maybe spending more time together. Would you like that?" "I guess." "Just, I guess? Don't you miss Mommy?" Lena picked at her melting ice cream. "You left. Elise says people who leave don't get to be upset when they're missed." Nora's smile froze. Elise says a lot, doesn't she? For someone who's just the help. "She's not just the help," Lena's voice rose, surprising everyone. She's family." The drive home was silent. Darren watched Lena in the rearview mirror, seeing the emotional exhaustion on her young face. When they arrived home, she ran straight to her room. Darren found Elise in the kitchen, mechanically wiping counters that were already clean. "I'm sorry about earlier," he said. "Nora had no right." "She's Lena's mother. She has every right." Elise's voice was flat. "And she's right. I am just the help." "You know that's not true." "Do I?" Elise finally looked at him, and her eyes were full of something raw and painful. "Because from where I stand, I'm the employee who's forgotten her place, the one who's gotten too comfortable, too attached." Nora came back, and suddenly I remember. I'm not part of this family. I never was. "Elise, I think I should leave." The words landed like a physical blow. "What?" "No. Lena needs you. You need to figure out your situation with your wife. And Lena needs stability, not a custody battle fought through the help. Nora isn't my wife anymore. Not in any way that matters. But she wants to be." Elise's voice cracked slightly. "I saw how she looked at you. And maybe that's what Lena needs. Her real family. Together again." "You are real family," Darren said desperately. "You're more family than Nora ever was. You're the one who's been here, who's healed Lena, who's—" A sound from the doorway stopped him. Lena stood there, tears streaming down her face. "Don't go, Elise. Please don't go like Mommy did." Elise dropped to her knees, pulling Lena into her arms. "Oh, sweetheart. I would never." "Everyone leaves. Everyone always leaves." Lena sobbed against Elise's shoulder. "And you'll leave too, and then Daddy will be sad again, and I'll be alone." Darren felt his heart shatter as he watched his daughter voice the fear she'd been carrying since Nora's abandonment. He knelt beside them, wrapping both Elise and Lena in his arms. "No one's leaving," he said firmly. "Not if I have anything to say about it." But even as he spoke, he saw the doubt in Elise's eyes, and he knew that promises weren't enough. Not anymore. The story's about to take a turn none of us saw coming. Drop a comment below with your predictions. And don't forget to like this video if you're invested in what happens next. Nora's return shattered the fragile peace they'd built. She began appearing regularly, at school pickups, weekend activities, always with perfect timing to cause maximum disruption. She questioned every decision, implied Darren's inadequacy, and treated Elise with barely concealed contempt. "It must be difficult," Nora said one afternoon, encountering Elise in the school parking lot, "playing house with another woman's family." "I'm not playing anything, Mrs. Cole. It's Ms. Chen now. I took back my maiden name." Nora's smile was sharp. "But you're right. This isn't a game. Lena is my daughter. Darren is well, we'll see. The point is, you're temporary. The help always is." Elise said nothing, but that night, Darren found her packing. "What are you doing?" "What I should have done weeks ago. This isn't healthy. For any of us. Lena's confused. You're caught between past and present, and She folded a shirt with shaking hands. "I'm falling apart." "Then don't. Don't fall apart. Don't leave. Stay and fight." "Fight for what, Darren? A place that was never mine. A family I don't belong to?" Tears finally spilled over. "I grew up being shuffled between homes, always temporary, never quite good enough to keep. I promised myself I'd never put myself in that position again. And yet, here I am." "You're not being shuffled. You're being chosen. By me, by Lena. By a 7-year-old who's scared and a man who's guilty about his failed marriage. That's not choice. That's desperation." The accusation stung because part of it was true. Darren had been desperate when he hired Elise, but what he felt now went far beyond desperation. "I love you." The words hung in the air between them. Elise froze, hands still gripping the half-folded shirt. "You don't mean that." "I do. I love you, and I think you love me too, and I'm terrified of losing you. Darren, Elise, please." He moved closer, gently taking the shirt from her hands. "I know the timing is terrible. I know Nora's presence complicates everything. But I also know that you've given me back my life, my daughter, my ability to feel something other than grief and guilt. Don't ask me to give that up. And what about Lena? What happens when Nora demands custody? When lawyers get involved and judges ask why her father replaced her mother with the help?" Elise pulled away. "I won't be the reason you lose your daughter." A knock on the door interrupted them. Maya stood there, her expression grave. "We need to talk. Now." In the living room, Maya pulled out her phone, showing them a series of photographs. Nora entering expensive restaurants with various men. Nora shopping at designer stores. Nora clearly living a life that contradicted her claims of maternal dedication. "I hired a private investigator," Maya admitted. "I know it's invasive, but something about her return didn't feel right. Turns out your ex-wife has been in Dubai for the past 6 months, engaged to a wealthy businessman. The engagement fell apart 3 weeks ago." Darren stared at the photos, understanding dawning. "She's not back for Lena. She's back because her new life fell apart." "And she sees you as a backup plan," Maya confirmed. "The stable, successful ex-husband who can provide the lifestyle she wants. Lena is just leverage." Rage built in Darren's chest. "She's using our daughter. Which is why you need to document everything. Every inconsistency. Every time she fails to show up for something she promised. every moment that proves she's not actually interested in being a mother. Elise had gone pale. This is exactly what I was afraid of. A legal battle, with Lena caught in the middle. It's better than letting Nora manipulate all of you, Maya said firmly. And Elise, you need to understand something. Darren's not going to lose Lena, not when the evidence is this clear. But he might lose you if you keep running. The confrontation came 2 days later. Nora arrived with a lawyer, announcing she wanted shared custody. I've been gone, yes, she said, sitting in Darren's living room as though she belonged there. But I've gotten help. I'm ready to be a mother to Lena now. Really? Darren's voice was ice. Is that before or after your engagement in Dubai? Before or after you realized your wealthy boyfriend wasn't going to work out and you needed a backup plan? Nora's composure cracked. How dare you? How dare I? You abandoned your daughter. You left without a word, without child support, without any contact for 18 months. And now you want to waltz back in and play mother when it's convenient? I'm her mother. Nothing changes that. Biology doesn't make you a parent. Showing up does. Being present does. Elise has been more of a mother to Lena in 4 months than you were in 7 years. Nora's eyes flashed to Elise, who'd been standing silently in the doorway. Ah, yes, the help. Tell me, Darren, are you sleeping with the help? Is that what this is really about? You couldn't keep your wife, so you settled for the domestic? Get out. Darren's voice was deadly quiet. Get out of my house. If you want to pursue custody, do it through the courts. But don't come back here. Fine. Nora stood, her lawyer following. But don't think this is over. Lena is my daughter, and no amount of money you throw at your replacement family will change that. After they left, the house fell into stunned silence. Elise moved toward the door. Where are you going? Darren asked. She's right, isn't she? This is going to get ugly, and I'm just going to make it worse. Nora's lawyers will use me against you. Let them try. Darren caught her hand. Elise, I meant what I said. I love you, and I'm done letting fear control my decisions. But Lena needs you. She said it herself at the art show. Your family. No, I'm not, Elise whispered. I'm still just the employee who forgot her place. She left, and this time, Darren didn't stop her. Because maybe she was right. Maybe love wasn't enough when the world insisted on defining you by roles and hierarchies and legal documents. That night, Lena came to him in tears. Elise left because of Mommy, didn't she? Darren pulled his daughter close. She left because things are complicated, sweetheart. I don't want Mommy. I want Elise. The stark honesty of children. Lena had spoken the truth they'd all been dancing around. Nora was a stranger, and Elise was home. Keep watching. The resolution is coming, and I guarantee it's not what you're expecting. The school recital happened 3 days later. Lena had been practicing for weeks, excited to perform in the class singing presentation. Darren sat in the crowded auditorium, watching the stage, and trying not to look at the empty seat beside him, where Elise should have been. The children filed on stage. Lena stood in the front row, her purple dress matching the flowers she loved so much. She scanned the audience, and Darren saw her face fall when she didn't find who she was looking for. The performance began. Children's voices filled the auditorium, pure and sweet. But Lena wasn't singing. She stood frozen, tears streaming down her face, while her classmates continued around her. Darren started to stand, to go to her, but movement at the back of the auditorium stopped him. Elise rushed down the aisle, still wearing her coat, her hair windblown. She must have run from wherever she'd been. She caught Lena's eye and waved, smiling encouragement. The transformation was instant. Lena's face lit up, and her voice joined the chorus, clear and confident. She sang directly to Elise, as though no one else existed. After the performance, Lena ran straight past Darren to throw herself into Elise's arms. "You came! You came!" "Of course I came, sweetheart. I promised I would." Elise held Lena tight, her own eyes wet. "You were magnificent. I thought you left forever. Like Mommy." "Oh, Lena." Elise knelt down, cupping the child's face. "I could never do that. Never. I was scared and confused, but that doesn't mean I stopped loving you." "You love me?" "More than all the purple flowers in the world." Darren approached slowly, afraid to break the moment. "Thank you for coming." Elise looked up at him, something raw and vulnerable in her expression. "I couldn't stay away. I tried, but," her voice cracked, "I couldn't let her think I'd abandoned her too." "Then don't. Don't stay away anymore." Darren held out his hand. "Come home." Before Elise could respond, Nora's voice cut through the crowd. How touching. The help-playing mother, while the real parent watches from the sidelines. Darren turned to find Nora standing nearby, her expression cold. But this time, he wasn't intimidated. "You're not watching from the sidelines, Nora. You're not watching at all. You weren't here for the practice sessions, the costume fittings, the nerves last night. You just showed up for the performance. I'm here now. You're here for appearances. You've always been here for appearances." Darren's voice carried across the thinning crowd. But Elise was here every step of the way. She's the one who helped Lena memorize the lyrics, who sewed the dress when the original one didn't fit, who sat up with her last night when she couldn't sleep from excitement. She's paid to do those things. No, she's not. She quit 2 days ago, remember? She came today because she loves Lena. Not because it's her job, but because it's her heart. Lena had been listening to every word. Now she stepped forward, her small voice carrying surprising strength. "You're not my mommy anymore. Not the way that matters." Nora's face went white. "Lena, baby. Elise is my mommy. She takes care of me. She knows what I like for breakfast and when I have bad dreams and which books I want to read. You don't know any of that." "That's because I've been gone, but I'm back now." "You're not back. Not really." Lena moved closer to Elise, taking her, and "You just came back because you were sad. But Elise came because I was sad. That's different." The simplicity of a child's truth cut deeper than any legal argument could. Nora looked between them, her daughter holding the hand of another woman, her ex-husband standing protective and united with them both. She'd lost, and everyone in that auditorium could see it. "You're turning her against me," Nora said, her voice breaking. "No," Darren replied quietly. "You did that yourself. Every day you chose not to call. Every birthday you missed. Every promise you broke. Elise didn't replace you, Nora. You replaced yourself." Nora's lawyer stepped forward, whispering urgently in her ear. After a moment, Nora nodded stiffly. "Fine. Keep your little pretend family. But don't think I won't still pursue custody. A judge will see through this manipulation." Actually, Maya's voice came from behind them. She'd been recording on her phone. "A judge will see a child clearly expressing her preferences. They'll see 18 months of documented abandonment versus 4 months of consistent, loving care. They'll see financial records showing you never paid child support while spending thousands in Dubai." Maya smiled pleasantly. "But please, do pursue custody. I'm sure the court will be very interested in all the evidence we've compiled." Nora's composure finally shattered. She looked at Lena one last time, seemed about to say something, then turned and walked away. Her lawyer followed, already on the phone. The auditorium had emptied around them. Other families had discreetly moved away, giving them privacy. Darren, Elise, and Lena stood together in the sudden quiet. "Is she gone?" Lena asked. "For now," Darren said. and maybe for good. But even if she comes back, it won't change anything. You get to decide who your family is, sweetheart." Lena looked up at Elise. "Will you stay? For real this time?" Elise glanced at Darren, uncertainty still flickering in her eyes. He understood her fear. She'd spent her life being temporary, never quite belonging. But he also saw love there, deep and real, and terrifying in its intensity. "I need to know something first," Elise said softly. Are you offering me a job or a home?" "A home," Darren answered without hesitation. "A family, a future, whatever you want to call it, as long as you're part of it. Even though it's complicated, even though people will talk and judge and let them." Darren stepped closer, taking her free hand while Lena held the other. "I've spent 2 years caring what people think, trying to maintain appearances, keeping everything professional and distant. And I was miserable. Then you walked into my life, and suddenly everything made sense again." "I'm scared," Elise whispered. "So am I. But I'm more scared of losing you." Lena tugged on both their hands. "Please say yes, Elise. Please stay." Elise looked between them. The child who'd captured her heart, and the man who'd shown her what home could feel like. Everything she'd ever wanted was right here, and the fear of losing it was almost overwhelming. But the fear of never trying was worse. "Okay," she breathed. "Okay, I'll stay." Lena cheered, wrapping her arms around both of them. Darren pulled Elise closer, and for the first time since Nora left, he felt complete. "For the record," Maya called from where she'd been waiting respectfully at a distance, "I always knew you two were perfect for each other. Also, I expect to be the maid of honor whenever you finally make this official." "Maya," Darren laughed. "What?" "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking," she grinned. "Now, can we please get dinner? All this dramatic reconciliation is making me hungry." They went to Lena's favorite restaurant. Nothing fancy, just a small place with good food and better company. Lena chattered excitedly about the performance, already planning what she'd sing next year. Elise listened with complete attention, asking questions and offering encouragement. Darren watched them together and felt something settle in his chest. This was what family looked like. Not perfect, not without complications, but real and warm and full of love. Later that night, after Lena had gone to bed, clutching the flower Elise had given her, Darren found Elise on the back porch. She stood among the garden they'd planted together, moonlight catching in her hair. "Thinking about running again?" he asked, only half joking. "No, just thinking about how strange life is." She turned to face him. 4 months ago, I was sleeping in alleys, desperate for any job I could find. I thought I'd spend my whole life being temporary, moving from place to place, never quite belonging anywhere. And now? Now I'm terrified because I do belong. Here, with you and Lena. And it's everything I've ever wanted, which makes it the scariest thing in the world. Darren closed the distance between them, gently taking her face in his hands. "You know what's scarier? The thought of my life without you in it. The thought of going back to that cold, dark house where nothing felt right. You didn't just bring order to our chaos, Elise. You brought light. Darren, I love you. I'm in love with you. Not because you take care of Lena or keep the house organized or any of the practical things. I love you because you laugh at my terrible jokes, because you hum while you cook, because you see the best in people even when they don't see it themselves." Tears streamed down Elise's face. "I love you too. God help me. I tried not to, but I do. I love your terrible jokes and your dedication to Lena and the way you look at me like I'm something precious. You are precious. To me, to Lena, you're everything." He kissed her then, soft and sure, and Elise kissed him back like she was finally allowing herself to believe in permanence. When they pulled apart, both were smiling through tears. "So what happens now?" Elise asked. "Now we figure it out together. The legal stuff with Nora, the questions about our relationship, all of it. Together." "Together," Elise repeated, testing the word. It felt solid, real. "I like the sound of that." From Lena's window above them, a small face watched with a smile before disappearing back to bed. She'd gotten her wish. Her family was whole again, even if it looked different than before. Here's where I need you to weigh in. Comment below. Did you see this coming, or did the story surprise you? And hit that like button if you're as emotional as I am right now. 6 months later, Elise stood in what had become their kitchen. Sunlight streaming through windows she'd learned to call home. The house had fully transformed, not just in appearance, but in essence. Laughter echoed regularly now. Dinners were family affairs. Even the air felt different, warmer somehow. "Mommy!" Lena burst through the door, using the title naturally now. Elise had told her she didn't have to, but Lena insisted. "Mommy, look what Mrs. Adebayo wrote." She thrust a school paper forward, straight A's across the board, with a teacher's note praising Lena's growth and confidence. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." Elise pulled Lena into a hug. "Can we put it on the fridge? Next to my drawing?" "Absolutely." Darren arrived home early, as he'd been doing regularly for months now. He'd learned that the most important architecture wasn't in office buildings, but in the daily structures of family life. The routines, rituals, and small moments that built something lasting. "Something smells amazing," he said, kissing Elise hello in a way that had become natural and right. "It's your favorite. And before you ask, yes, I made extra for Maya, because she's coming for dinner. You know me too well." "That's kind of the point." Elise smiled, and Darren marveled at how that smile could still make his heart race. They'd had their share of challenges. Nora had pursued custody briefly, but the court proceedings had been surprisingly straightforward. Faced with overwhelming evidence of abandonment and Lena's clear preferences, Nora had eventually withdrawn her petition. She'd moved back to Dubai, sending occasional cards that Lena read politely before filing away. There had been gossip, of course, whispers about the architect who'd fallen for the help, speculation about impropriety. But Darren had learned not to care. The people whose opinions mattered, Lena, Maya, his true friends, supported them completely. "I have something to tell you both," Darren said as they sat down to dinner. He pulled out a small velvet box. Lena gasped. "Is that what I think it is?" "That depends on what you think it is." Darren opened the box, revealing a simple but elegant ring. Then he turned to Elise, whose eyes had gone wide. "I know we've only been together officially for 6 months. I know some people will say it's too fast, but I've learned that life is too short to waste time on what other people think." He slid from his chair to kneel beside her. "Elise, you walked into our lives when everything was broken, and you showed us what love really looks like. Not the grand gestures or perfect moments, but the daily choice to show up, to care, to build something real. You've been Lena's mother in every way that matters, and you've been my partner, my love, my home. Darren." "Let me finish." He smiled through the emotion in his voice. "I'm not asking you to marry me because I need someone to take care of our daughter or organize our house. I'm asking because I can't imagine my life without you in it. Because you're my best friend and my greatest love. Because when I think about the future, every version of it includes you." Lena had abandoned all pretense of eating, watching with rapt attention. "So, Elise, will you marry me? Will you officially become part of this imperfect, beautiful family we've built?" Elise's tears fell freely now. "Yes. Yes. 1,000 times. Yes." Darren slipped the ring onto her finger, and pulled her into his arms. Lena cheered and rushed over to join the embrace, and for a moment, the three of them simply held each other. "I never thought I'd get to have this," Elise whispered. "A real family. People who chose me, who wanted me to stay. We'll always choose you," Darren promised. "Always." Maya arrived 20 minutes later to find them still celebrating. "Finally. I was wondering when you'd make an honest woman of her." She hugged Elise tightly. "Welcome to the family, officially." "You know we're already family," Elise said. "True. But now there's a ring, which means I get to plan an engagement party, and eventually a wedding. And I've been waiting for this opportunity for months." They laughed, and the evening dissolved into joy and planning, and the comfortable chaos of people who genuinely loved each other. Later, after Maya left, and Lena had reluctantly gone to bed, Darren and Elise sat in the garden they'd planted together. The flowers had grown tall and vibrant, purple blooms mixing with white and yellow in a riot of color. "Do you ever think about how we got here?" Elise asked. "How a job interview turned into a love story." "I think about it constantly. I think about how close I came to hiring someone else, to missing you entirely. I think about how close I came to giving up. That night before the interview, I slept in an alley, convinced I'd never find anywhere to belong. And then you walked through my door and changed everything." Elise leaned against him, feeling safe and settled in a way she'd never experienced before. "You know what the strangest part is? I spent my whole life believing family was something you were born into, or something that could be taken away at any moment. But this, what we have, it's stronger than biology or paperwork. We chose each other. And we keep choosing each other. Every day." "Every day," Elise agreed. From her window, Lena looked down at them, at the family she'd helped build with her honest words and open heart. She thought about how sad their house used to be, how empty. Now it was full, not with things, but with the kind of love that made you feel safe enough to be exactly who you were. She picked up her journal, a gift from Elise, and wrote, "Today Daddy asked Elise to marry him. She said yes. Mrs. Adebayo says families come in all shapes, and I think ours is shaped like a flower. It started small and broken, but then Elise came and gave us sunshine and water and love. Now we're blooming. Now we're beautiful. Now we're home." The months that followed were filled with preparations and adjustments. Maya threw an engagement party that brought together Darren's colleagues, Lena's teachers, and the small community they'd built. People who might have initially judged their unconventional relationship saw the genuine love and stability they provided each other. Elise officially adopted Lena, a legal process that made permanent what had already been true in their hearts. The day the adoption was finalized, Lena insisted on changing her school emergency contact form immediately. "Now it's official," she said, hugging the paper to her chest. "You're really my mommy." "I've always been your mommy, sweetheart. The paper just makes it legal." "I like legal. It means nobody can take you away." The wedding was small and perfect, held in the garden they'd cultivated together, surrounded by the people who mattered most. Lena served as flower girl, scattering purple petals with solemn importance. Maya stood beside Elise as maid of honor, crying unashamedly through the entire ceremony. When Darren and Elise exchanged vows, they spoke not of perfection, but of persistence. Not of easy love, but of chosen love. The kind that shows up every day, that works through complications, that builds home in the small moments between grand gestures. "I vow to choose you," Darren said, his voice steady despite the emotion. "Every morning when I wake up, every evening when I come home, every moment in between. I vow to be present, to be grateful, to never take for granted the gift of loving you. I vow to trust, Elise responded, tears streaming down her face. To trust that I belong here, that this is real, that love doesn't have to be temporary. I vow to build this home with you, to raise our daughter together, to be brave enough to stay even when fear whispers that I should run. They sealed their promises with a kiss, and the small gathering erupted in applause. Lena beamed, knowing she'd helped create this moment with her own honesty and courage. At the reception, Maya raised a glass for a toast. I've known Darren for 15 years, and I've never seen him as happy as he's been since Elise entered his life. Some people might say their story is unusual, the single father who fell in love with the woman he hired to help his household. But I say it's exactly what love should be. Unexpected, transformative, and built on genuine partnership rather than expectation or convention. She turned to Elise directly. You took a job and turned it into a calling. You took a broken house and made it a home. You took a family that was falling apart and showed them how to be whole again. Thank you for being brave enough to stay, and for teaching all of us that family is what we make it. As the evening wound down and guests departed, the new family of 3 sat together in their garden. Lena had fallen asleep between them, her head on Elise's lap, her hand holding Darren's. Do you think she'll remember this? Elise whispered. Being part of creating our family? I hope so. I hope she remembers that love is stronger than fear, that home is built through choice and commitment, and that family isn't about blood, it's about showing up. Elise looked at the sleeping child, at the man who'd given her a chance when she had nothing, at the home they'd built from broken pieces. We found home, she said softly, echoing the words she'd spoken on their first candlelit dinner. We actually found home. No, Darren corrected gently. We built it. Together. And in the garden full of purple flowers, under a sky full of stars, the family that chose each other sat wrapped in the kind of peace that only comes from knowing you're exactly where you belong. This is the end of our story, but I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of this journey? Drop a comment sharing your favorite moment. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next emotional story, and give this video a like if it touched your heart. Thank you for being part of this family's story with us. Until next time, remember, home isn't a place, it's the people who choose to love you every single day.